Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most misunderstood corners of the digital world, the dark web. Now, that name brings up all sorts of crazy images, but we're going to figure out what it's really all about, and we're going to do it together. So let's just jump right in with the biggest question of all. Is this hidden part of the internet just pure evil? I mean, it's got this massive reputation, right? But the truth? Well, the truth is a lot more complicated, and honestly, way more interesting. And hey, if you're into breaking down these big, complex topics, do us a huge favor and hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps us make more of these explainers for you. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so to really get a handle on the dark web, we first have to understand that the internet has layers. See, it isn't just one single thing. All right, first up, you've got the surface web. This is pretty much everything you think of when you hear the word internet. It's the visible tip of the iceberg. All the websites Google can find, your favorite news sites, online shops, all that stuff. Okay, but then you go a layer deeper, and you hit the deep web. And I know, that sounds super mysterious, but honestly, it's mostly the boring stuff. This is just the part of the internet you need a password to get into, like your Gmail, your online banking account, or your company's internal network. This part is actually huge, way bigger than the surface web, but it's not some spooky, hidden worlds. Now, tucked away inside that massive deep web, there's this tiny, tiny little corner, and that is the dark web. This is the part that's built from the ground up to be hidden, and you need special software to even get there. It's all built around one single, powerful idea: anonymity. And this is probably the most important thing to get straight right off the bat. The name dark web doesn't come from dark as in evil. It comes from dark as in the dark, hidden. Anonymous. Getting that difference is absolutely key to understanding everything else we're about to talk about. Okay, so how does this whole anonymity thing even work? Well, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, and that's where things get really interesting and kind of risky. So you're probably wondering, how does anyone even get there? It's a good question, because you can't just type a URL into Google Chrome or Safari and pop right in. Yeah? To get there, you need special software, most famously a browser called Tor, which stands for the onion router. Think of it like this. Tor takes your internet connection and wraps it in layers of encryption, like an onion, and then bounces it between different computers all over the world. This makes you incredibly hard to trace. And once you're on there, you're looking for websites that end in .onion. You can't even see them from the regular internet. And this is a huge but. All that anonymity creates a perfect playground for some really serious risks. You could click one wrong link and bam, your computer's infected with malware. A lot of the stuff for sale is just a flat-out scam. And don't think it's a low-list free-for-all. Law enforcement is all over these places. Plus, you can accidentally wander into some truly horrible content. And if you mess up, that anonymity you thought you had can vanish, exposing who you really are. Wow, okay, that's a lot to think about, right? And hey, if you're finding this breakdown useful, just taking a quick second to hit that like and subscribe button would be awesome. But here's the twist. That's only one side of the coin. There's this whole other side to the dark web, a surprisingly positive and honestly a really important one. All right, so after all that doom and gloom, let's flip this thing on its head. Because for all its dangers, that same anonymity can be an incredibly powerful tool. A lifeline even, for people who desperately need it. For starters, think about whistleblowers and journalists. If you need to leak information about massive corruption or you're a reporter in an oppressive country, you can't just send an email. You need a way to communicate safely, and the dark web provides a shield for that. And it's not just about leaking info, it's also about getting info. Imagine living somewhere where the government blocks Facebook, Twitter, international news. Tools like Tor are a way to punch through that censorship wall and see what's really going on in the world. And then there's a reason that might hit a little closer to home for some of us: personal privacy. You know how everything you do online is tracked by advertisers, by tech companies, by, well, who knows who else. For people who just want to browse the web without leaving a massive digital footprint, the dark web is one way to do it. So when you actually look at the good guys using it, you've got journalists, activists, everyday folks who just value their privacy. It really shows you that this isn't some simple, evil place. It's way more nuanced than that. Okay, so this is what it all comes down to, right? You've got this one side that's incredibly dangerous and another side that's a tool for freedom and safety. So what is it? How are we supposed to think about this thing? I think one of the best analogies comes from our source material. Treat it like walking through a dangerous neighborhood. Keep your guard up, protect your privacy, and stay on the right side of the law. It's a space that absolutely demands caution. Which brings us right to the main takeaway here. At its core, the dark web is a tool, and its whole purpose is to provide powerful anonymity. Now, that anonymity can be a shield for the vulnerable, but it can also be a cloak for criminals. The technology itself, it's neutral. It doesn't have an agenda. It all comes down to who's using it and why. So, back to our big question. Is the dark web a weapon or is it a shield? And the answer, as we've seen, is yes. It's both. The real answer depends entirely on whose hands it's in. It's a powerful technology, and whether it builds something up or tears something down, that's all on the user. And there you have it, our deep dive into the dark web. If this explainer cleared some things up for you, we'd be so grateful if you'd hit that like button, subscribe for more, and maybe share this with someone you know who's also curious about this stuff. Thanks so much for watching.